All right. Good day, everyone. This is Mr. Francisco, and you're listening to the Directors.ph podcast.
Good day.
You have excellent taste because you've downloaded this podcast.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
So we are now, I am in Mint School.
Mint College.
And I'm not alone because beside me is the one and only. Please introduce yourself in perfect top dog fashion. I always have the guests introduce themselves. So beside me is
pressure naman yung top dog fashion. My name is Joaquin Pedro Valdes. Yes, I'm a filmmaker and I'm a commercials director.
Okay.
Among other things.
Among other things, of course.
I'm a lover. Yeah.
Not a fighter.
Not a fighter.
Okay. So here on the Directors.ph podcast, we bring to life whatever people are reading on the Viber.
Yes,
public
because we have like 1 million followers already. Yeah?
1,000,001.
1,000,001.
1,000,002. There you go. So we're a bunch of TV commercials directors.
Yes.
On the Viber public chat room. And now it's come to life in a form of a podcast. And I'm very happy to have you on this podcast.
It's my honor. Thank
you.
you.
So you can share with us your nuggets of wisdom. First and foremost, we're in a school. What the hell are we doing in a school?
Well, for once a week, I teach class. I teach a film class. It's called Film Language, and I try to impart or maybe destruct the knowledge of very young and willing, a little too willing minds of some students here in Meridian International College.
We're here in the fort.
Yes, we're here.
It's a really nice campus.
Yes.
Well, is it like how many floors is it?
It's just one floor,
Yeah.
but they really focus on making learning out of the box and alternative and progressive. So
it's all you need, actually.
Yeah.
Because all the stuff that you go through, well, especially during my time, like
back in the day,
for algebras and calculus. And
yes.
What does that have to do with directing stuff?
Yeah.
It doesn't have.
All you need to do is count the millions of hits you have on your YouTube channel.
That's it. That's it. Okay. All right. So you've started directing out of the bat from college?
Yes, actually, right out of my thesis year, which is in 2008, I pretty much already was determined to get myself. To get my feet wet in the industry. And I knew that back in college, there were two avenues. It's either you went to the network side and tried to make the films under the studio system, or you went to advertising.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my mentors were cinematographers, and I really fell in love with just the beauty of the visual. And I wanted to work with some of the industry technical standards. I was a geek then, and I liked the good stuff. I like the high tech stuff. I like the cool stuff, and I wanted to be cool like Sid Madrazo. So.
What are the titos on the chat room?
No, seriously, a lot of my mentors were from advertising, and they had advised me to go into advertising. If only to really just
thinking back, tama ba sila? Hindi.
Yeah, I love this industry. I love this industry, and I love the work that it gives. So
right. Yeah. And work is a 4-letter word.
Yeah, work is a 4-letter word amongst other 4-letter words.
So, because when you think about directing, diba, there are many facets to it.
Yes.
There's so many hats you wear.
Mm-hmm.
And you, in particular, you mentioned you like cinematography.
I love the cinematography. But my background, and I think what's crucial, which I failed to mention, was I fell in love with the storytelling format. Meaning I started, my thesis was a 30-minute short, which is highly visual, and it eventually traveled abroad to win one award. And that grounded me. Meaning, if whatever happens, if I go to the studios or if I go to advertising where I'm selling beauty products, or maybe if I go to the studios and I'm directing a mainstream, superstar or artista, that my first film grounds me, and it would remind me of who I am and what I really love. so that if I lose my way or if I get distracted by the opportunity and the glitz and glam of the position of director, I know where I started and I know the travails and the hardships that come with making a film.
What was the 30-minute short all about?
It was called Bulong.
Okay.
And it was a speculative fiction piece set in an unmentioned future of Manila.
Okay.
And it basically was a take on Plato's cave allegory, wherein it's a society that just followed a certain voice. And if you went against the grain, you would have been silenced. And the film zeroes in on one attempt to go against the grain. So
does it still hold up? I mean, if you watch it,
oh yeah,
you don't cringe, naman.
No. It's an imperfect.
That's great.
It's super imperfect. It's super clunky. Technically, I don't think it's. Oh my god, I want to change it. I want to reshoot it. But as a film and how it affects people, I think the best compliment I got was after I screened it in UP. A lower classman came up to me. I didn't know her then. She goes, "Thank you for that film. I needed to see it."
Wow.
And that for me, I mean, it's a technically imperfect film. I'm much more polished now and much more wiser in my filmmaking decisions, but I can't remove the fact that actually spoke to someone. So
okay. That's 30 minutes.
That's 30 minutes.
But you have a full-length film.
I have a full-length film
under your belt.
Yes.
And that came how many years after
that was
school?
2008. I think it came around 2 years after. 2010, I was privileged enough to be one of the selected films for Cinema One Originals.
Okay.
And it was an opportunity for me to go full length. And I knew that I wasn't prepared. I was probably too young, too ambitious for my own good. Just had a lot of ideas, but I jumped in anyway. And if I was going to fail, at least I failed by my own sword. And I failed swinging, and I died swinging, right? It was a film called Dagim, which means rain cloud. And it was like, it was a genre piece, but I was attempting to deconstruct the genre of the aswang. So I was pulling information, a lot of inspiration from Lost Boys of Kiefer Sutherland, a lot of the punk films of the 90s. And the premise is these two young boys who are orphaned. Their father hasn't returned. They go up to the mountains and get assimilated in this band of young rebels who turn out to be
vampires.
Well, yeah, I never mention it, but they feel that the solution to cleansing the world of its evil is to consume people.
Oh, okay.
So that was I was trying to be a little philosophical. I think I failed.
Masyadong intellectual.
I think I failed, and I think I tried too much. You see, that's me. I'm the first to I don't shy away or get offended by criticism. In fact, I invite it. So there was one beautiful criticism that tore it apart and said that I was trying too much too soon, and I agree.
Okay. Is he still alive?
The critic? Oh yeah. He's in my basement.
You're still feeding the guy.
Yeah, I'm still feeding the guy now.
Awesome.
no. I think we eventually became good friends. But
after how many years in the basement?
After a year, I think it was enough. No, but it was in fact another cinematographer. Si Neil. I forget his last name. Sorry, mental block. But Sir Neil, who was teaching cinematography in UP then, he tells me and encouraged me. He goes, you know what? If you have achieved at least 60% of your screenplay, that's a big accomplishment. And I think more than anything, the biggest accomplishment I got from that film was being able to just feel how I am on top of this battalion of a staff.
Yeah. How many people did you have to work with on a regular day in this indie flick? It's an indie,
yeah. They give you a grant of 1 million minus tax. And mine was ambitious because I was in the forest.
Exterior,
yeah. In the forest, in the thick of things. I had cast and crew siguro a little under 100.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how many shooting days for project like that?
Stupidly and ignorantly, and I do not recommend this for a feature film, I was trying to sneak in around 80 sequences or 90 sequences.
In a day?
No, within 7 days.
Okay, so math, mga 12.
Around,
12
yeah.
sequences.
But these are tough sequences to block. There's blood, there's prosthetics, there's, so I think it was by divine intervention. When we hit our 7th day, obviously we were super backtracked. I was cutting on the fly, removing sequences on the fly, which is not a good idea. By this,
huwag mo na sabihin yung name ko. Wag na.
So,
mo na yung name ko ng character. Wag mo sabihin yun. Okay
there would be some sequences that would be reduced to one shot.
Okay.
Because talagang the coverage, and you can imagine.
Bro, patay ka na dito. Wag ka na magsalita. Okay lang. Ganon.
Or let's reduce yung babasan lang yung dialogue. Ito na lang sabihin mo. Isang linya na lang. Okay
rinig na yan. Hindi ka na kailangan makita sa pelikula. Naririnig ka sa audio, pare. Okay lang.
And I was really ambitious, pati yung process ko eh. Kasi I came from the theater. So when I worked with actors, I talagang wino-workshop ko pa yan. In Manila, we had a series of readings and workshops and character developments pa. Which, you know what? It's all fluff. Nobody will care when they sit down to your movie. They won't know your process.
Yeah, of course.
They won't care, right? So, that's all you. But we went through that. So, talagang the cast and the crew really bonded. And it was an important bonding because the director, I think, at least from my experience, even some of my closest friends wanted to tear me apart.
Okay. And who were
part of my staff.
Of the staff.
Yeah.
Okay.
They wanted to kill me.
Yeah. May muscles ka naman nung time na yun?
Wala. I was at my most unhealthy.
Scrawniest,
no, probably skinny fat.
Okay.
So I was at my most stressful and unhealthy situation. But on the 7th day, kinukwento ko lang. The 7th day, I think our location was nadelubyo kami. We found ourselves in the middle of 2 tropical monsoons.
Oh my God.
Or tropical typhoons or something like that. And literally our lights were flying. And that was like the hardest decision for me to say, okay, let's pack up, let's go to Manila, and I'll just find money again to come back and reshoot.
Okay, you mentioned money.
Yeah.
Did you have to shell out beyond the...
I think so.
Okay.
May limitation yung puhunan na laway.
Okay.
And although there were so many people who came to
like favors to, diba?
Yeah, favors.
Puhunan na laway is favors or for the love.
Yeah, for the love. People that were coming in like to cover my expense for post. And that you do the whole thing. You sell them the idea and you say na the value is in attaching your brand into my film, right? And people came in. I think the worth of it, as far as production is concerned, would have probably reached 3 million.
Yeah.
But I literally wasn't liquid. I'm not the richest guy on the block, and I didn't have my own. I was the kid then. Wala pa ako sa industriya talaga.
You couldn't sell your flesh.
I couldn't.
At that time.
Yeah.
No? Ngayon pwede na.
Yeah, at that time pwede. Nakikinig asawa ko. Okay. But yun, I just couldn't. And then I literally had to beg, steal, borrow, and eventually find good souls to help me just literally get out of the ground. To go back to the mountain to shoot another 4 or 5 days.
Which in itself feels like a horror story behind the horror.
It really is.
Baka kung gumawa sila ng docu behind that thing.
Oh, maybe. Maybe.
Baka bumenta pa yun.
Yeah. Mas uso yun ngayon. Yung mga behind the scenes na flop film. But,
pero yung docu sa likod nun, di ba? Saan ba to? Boondocks.
Yeah, Boondock Saints.
Oh, Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
Yung docu nun was successful. Okay. So, are you still planning to do a full-length film? Is that in the works?
I'll tell you. I was on the verge of... I always kept it at the back of my mind, and I realized my weaknesses, which is I'm not... If I'm directing something, I don't want to be writing it.
Okay.
I want to get someone...
Because this one you wrote yourself.
Eventually, I landed on myself. I was working with a friend from New York, but he couldn't be here. And and when you're directing, you're not seeing a lot of things. Directing a short is so different because when you're feature, at least that's not my gift. There are other directors who are really gifted with writing and directing their stuff. Me, that's not. I like developing a story and I like developing characters, but I can't seem to write it properly into a science. And they're better scientists and craftsmen for screenplay writing that I would want to work with. Yeah. I also feel like I need a producer to tell me when to rein it in and when that will allow me to go crazy. Because as far as directing, I like it when I'm just worried about directing. Yeah. So those are my learnings. I was planning to do a couple of others, but because these are the standards that I've set, tumatagal. And it came to a point that I was already on the verge of just saying, you know what, maybe not. Maybe that my time is up. And then I would get little affirmations, for random affirmations. People on Facebook who I don't know, people that I would just meet in these, our gatherings and say, when are you doing your next one? When are you doing the follow-up to Dagim?
So my question is, when are you doing? How close is it?
I'm actually, as far as
you have a story in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. That's step one.
Yeah, there is a couple, but we were already in the process of writing one with Wango Galiaga, who's the son of Peke.
Oh, yeah.
But really, the slap in the face to me, the wake-up call, was recently watching Henry Luna.
Okay. And
it was really a wake-up call to me as a Filipino, but also as a filmmaker. I admire Gerald. He's persistent. Mm-hmm. And his mark on each of his films, the care that he puts into it is just really amazing and it's really admirable. Something that I thought I would never have the patience for until I saw the film. Oh. And then I was chatting with Noni Buencamino and I congratulated him. And then out of the blue, he said, you know what? You should do yours. And you have the capability to make something just as great. And I was in tears when I was chatting with him. Not very top dog, isn't it? But I was like very encouraged. And yeah, I think that was my wake-up call to get cracking already.
Okay. That's good. You have a story in mind.
Yeah, I have a story in mind.
And
but what I'm excited about also, Raf, is not necessarily is just creating and not necessarily having it end up as a 90-minute feature. That's me. Like I'm excited
it could be in a different format.
It could
like
be
a Netflix thing, which is like in 30s,
sure,
like 4:30s,
or even like an entire YouTube channel for 12 episodes each in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I mean that's the exciting part about this time now, where the format is not anymore the king, but the method and the process is still the same. So,
I mean, before, kasi the only way you could have your message out there is join these festivals.
Exactly.
Have a feature film out there in a Cinema One kind of venue, diba? But now you have YouTube and you can reach so many people in YouTube. Okay, what do you find sexy now about directing? I mean, like being in this type of work.
This type of work, for me, is where I'm most honest. Whether I'm directing a commercial or whether I'm directing something of a more creative or artistic or experimental nature, it's honest. Because it's language. It's a form of communication. So that's what makes it sexy to me. I'm not too particular about how I get to the end result. Meaning, if I'm gonna get, I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but for example, if the objective is to make Aling Bebang feel more beautiful by using this soap, that's what I'm concerned about, and I like the process of getting to that objective. I'm not gonna stick to saying, "Oh no, it's not tasteful, it's not artsy." I have my own versions and my own standards to maintain as far as getting there, but I want to get there, right? If that's a commercial, but in a film, if the objective is now to transform a mind, to speak to a heart, the forms are limitless. I don't fall in love with the method. I am very much in love with the effect.
Okay.
So, and the method over the years constantly changes anyway. I think that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So, that's what makes it sexy. You're constantly on your toes. You're constantly on your toes on trying to say it in a way. There's nothing original anymore, but you're trying to say it in a way that's more efficient, more effective, that's more affecting to the person that's watching it. Apart from, of course, that's such an intellectual answer. Apart from, of course, I get to work with the sexiest and most efficient people.
And you're talking about people in the agency, diba?
Yeah, totally.
Of course.
I'm just trying to be about it, aloof about it. But all the casters, I'm like, oh, is
Of course, it's always a source of fascination, diba?
Oh yeah,
you have talents here, left and right. Diba? Okay, commercial directors. Since we're on Directors.ph, which is a compilation of commercial directors in the Philippines, no, they tend to get classified into the stuff they're good at.
Yeah.
How would you classify yourself, or how are you perceived?
Yeah.
How you perceive yourself, or how others perceive you? I mean,
it's
expertise.
It changes. When I started, when I got my feet wet in 2009. I think admittedly the house that I was with didn't know how to place me and would put me everywhere and anywhere. My reel, because it had a lot of film involved, it had my feature film, it had my short film, they were trying to push me in this storytelling kind of grand, or even this whatever, they would push me to sports beverage and, these a little gritty and cinematic stuff. And I would always lose the bids because there was always someone probably more known and better than I was. That's the nature of the business. But sige lang, persistence lang. And then as I grew doing this small, reliable work that I gave, it was the industry that actually gave me my quote unquote specialty.
Okay. Which
constantly changes. Eventually I found my niche, I think, and I'm not sure if that's even absolutely precise, in beauty.
Okay.
So I would get a lot of beauty stuff, but not necessarily beauty that was in the 30-second or 60-second format. Yeah. It was beauty that was for...
Yeah, you have a net... I remember you have a net series, diba?
Yeah.
Pons,
for Pons, yeah.
Parang Korean
yes.
something, diba?
That's what actually opened it up. Yeah. So it was lifestyle and beauty, but for that format. No. And I remember before I went to advertising, all of the advice to me back then was, all you need is one big break to get into this industry.
So is that true?
You know what? Not true for me. Because I was constant, and until now, I'm still waiting for this big break. Right? Parang after how many years? And then I realized only later that wala na. Nag-change na yung advertising scene eh. Before kasi, TV was really king. Uh-huh. And if you broke into a 60-second thematic or,
nagiging it guy.
Then you become the it guy for that specific niche. Now kasi,
it's open.
It's open. It's endless. And it's either you ride it or you deny it. And I think I like to think that I ride it. And whatever. Now I'm getting a lot of food.
Okay, that's
I'm
good.
getting a lot of food. I'm getting a lot of like ice cream and pizza. So parang okay, this is new. I didn't think, and maybe the creatives that have seen my work in beauty and my little humor or whatever storytelling feel that I can execute this properly. And it really depends when you're given that chance. Yeah. So as far as the break is concerned, the closest thing that I would get to was that Pond's web series that
4-part.
It was 3 parts, but it hit the 3 million mark on the 3rd week. So it was a little successful, and it won awards for Ogilvy. I shot all 3 in 28 hours.
Wow. How many cameras?
That was, I think, just 2 cameras.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many cups of coffee?
No, you know what? This is my tradition, and a lot of the staff and production houses that I've worked with know this. They stock up on those 1.5 liter Gatorades for me. Because lalo na when I see the shot list or the board and it's a wall to wall, meaning there's no breaks. It's a working lunch, I hardly eat.
Yeah.
So they just keep hydrating me. I just have that on standby, or then I have like a Red Bull just in the morning
on IV.
On IV, yeah. I have a special pill that's a Red Bull.
Okay, cool. All right. So that's why if they wanted to search for that video, what would they search for?
All they needed to do was search for Pond's Face My Love or Pond's FML. And then they would see the 3 parts.
Okay.
It's cheeky. It's really camp. But more importantly, I co-wrote it because with the creatives. It was a satire.
Yeah.
It was really on Korean novela.
Korean talaga.
So even or even J-pop. Yeah. So it was everything. The look.
Yeah, diba?
And then we dubbed over it also.
So it's not in sync.
It's not in sync. Okay. Everything was intentional. Yeah. It's really camp. It was a satire. It was a tongue in cheek but intentional. So that's what, and I think that's the humor that people found it funny, but also it wasn't pandering. It wasn't just slapstick for the sake of slapstick. Yeah. So there was a lot of research also involved in making that successful.
Okay. So you mentioned cinematography is something that you really like. Writing, not so much.
Writing, I love writing, but if you get me to write, that's the only thing I can do.
Okay, just concentrate on the
Parang
writing.
don't make me direct it. Okay. Don't make me I'll write it, but don't make me do anything else.
Okay.
I keep a blog, that's why I like writing. So, but when I write, that's all I'm doing.
Yeah. So. How are you facing the blank page? How is it?
What do you mean?
I mean, do you get anxious looking at the blank page? Or you're like, like most writers that, blank page, go out for coffee, exercise muna.
Oh, no. I see what you mean. When I write, I'm most creative early morning. Like if I wake up at 4.
In the morning?
Wow. I'm most creative.
I was about to ask you. Okay, well, backtrack.
Yeah.
So what's a usual day like for...
Well, right now, because my fiance is studying for the bar, the advice was for her to regularize her body clock. So she's up by 4 and starts studying, works out at around 6 to 8, has breakfast, and continues studying until around 8 p.m. Then she's in bed by 9. Sinasabayan ko siya.
Okay. So 4, you're up.
So I'm up at 4. I try my best, and she's more of a rock star than I am. I try my best. I'm up at 4. I make some coffee. And I go back to sleep. And then I wake up at around 6 to join her to work out. And then my day usually starts now.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a magic hour like right before sunrise where I'm very creative, or late at night.
Okay, like late
at night, like 11 p.m. until 2 a.m. and I'm very creative. So I'm not too afraid of the blank page. I just need to have a reason for it.
Okay, so if people want to check out your blog,
it's called BertoInBrogues.com. It's a basic guide for the modern Filipino gentleman.
Ayun.
So Berto, the image of a Berto that wears brogue shoes. Okay. So Berto in Brogues.
Nice.
Yeah.
Next. Okay, the advertising process.
Okay.
Creating an advert. What part of it is the...
Careful now.
What do you enjoy the most? Yeah. Because it is a long process.
Yeah.
I mean, it is deceivingly long.
It's very long.
It's 30 seconds.
Yeah.
People think it's 30 seconds. Maybe you guys spend 2 days on this thing. It's done.
Yeah.
Diba? But the truth is, it's not. But it's actually a long process. How would you describe the parts of it that you like the most?
I think, I can't even pick. I think the most exciting, intimidating, scary, but also sometimes rewarding portion in the whole arc of the process is feasibility.
Akala ko fee as in talent.
No. Well, yeah, that's okay too. But the feasibility part.
Okay.
Because that's for the first time after the brief that you present your creative input to the creatives and to the accounts. And there's a nice back and forth. Mm-hmm. I enjoy that. I enjoy presenting, because you work hard to make your deck. Yeah. And you work hard to make your board and your director's board and to show exactly and try to communicate exactly how you're going to execute it. That's exciting for me. Sometimes it's scary. Don't get me wrong. And it's not always a walk in the park. But it's exciting to just see the reaction because it's like a performance.
It's actually, when you mention deck, I think about it. It's like playing poker.
It is like playing poker.
They show you your hands first in their brief.
Yes.
This is our ulo, diba?
Yep.
Diba?
Yep.
It's okay. Ikaw naman, papakita mo yung ulo mo and then yung katawan and then parang talagang pusoy. Parang poker. So, now that you put it that way, it's like,
And then you're protective also kahit deck lang yan on your Keynote or your Mac and you're protective because you want to add some sort of drama to how you present it. Mm-hmm. Because these guys, the agencies, they work their asses late at night and how many weeks preparing for this campaign.
To get to that storyboard
brief,
that they gave you took months.
Right.
Also.
Months, arguing and all of that. So
with their client.
Yes.
So it's been a long process for them to begin with.
So,
and then it's another process with you.
Exactly.
So it's parang act 2 lang
Act
siguro
2
yan.
lang
Kasi
siya
act 1 is for them to get the storyboard out.
Yeah.
Act 2 is, but I guess for the advertising guy, there's an act 3 where, this actually goes out on TV and whatever the results are. Diba? So,
with which we're not
there
involved anymore. So that act 2 part where you actually present, it's like Christmas Day for them to a sense because it's like, wow, this is actually happening. And you gotta show that you put in the work, at least as close as what they did.
5 minutes man lang, di ba?
Oh. Di ba? Parang,
Oy, Marcos, di ba? Marcos, kuha mo ako mga peg dito.
Yes. Sanay na yan. Nakikita niyo mga treatments ko.
Okay. Magandang nabanggit mo yung treatments. Okay naman. Okay, there's this, for people listening to the podcast, Directors.ph, there's a part of the whole process called treatments.
Yes. Which I think the directors on the Viber group have
a lot of things to say about the treatment. So let's talk about treatments. So treatments, it's a part of the whole process where you get a board from the agency.
It's still a bid. It's still a bid. You're not sure if it's yours.
It's not yours. Then you have to make this document called a treatment.
Yes.
It is supposed to be how you see this happening.
Yes.
Okay. How do you approach the treatment? I think that's how do you approach it?
I approach it with utmost optimism. And I'm sure the other directors are rolling their eyes.
Me included.
Because
I just did.
Because, okay, I'll tell you this. Because it's so easy to just give up on it.
Okay.
It's so easy. You just give up on it. And you're
but
asking
the good thing
yourself,
you have Marcos, who is your
my
apprentice. Pare, go meet him, please.
Hindi naman. I don't do that. I'm on your case all the time. But anyway, so parang I have a standard. I have a standard, and my apprentice knows this. I have a standard on how I do it. And I'm very anal about it also. Meaning there's a lot of effort I put out. This is why the other directors will probably roll their eyes. It's because at one point in your writing the treatment, you're exerting so much time and effort and research and looking for references. And it annoys you because ang peg lang pala yung hanap nila. Diba? So parang, and you try to, because you want to be honest in the process to yourself as well. Yeah. And you want to show that you're exerting effort to make this board look amazing. And to get the effect that they want. And then there's that doubt that comes in na binabasa ba talaga to? Is this boiled down to economics? Is it the best price lang talaga? So there's that self-doubt. That's why you're forced to good.
Yeah, you do it.
You do it and you just approach it with the most optimism. Hindi ko siya pinapaa. When I write something, Some treatments will have me have 5 pages of a deck. Some 1 or 2 depends on the board and the objective.
And some boards are just so super clear.
Yeah,
actually,
very clear.
Come on, it can't be made any better than that.
Right.
So you have 2 cents to say. Diba?
And a lot of it is also because it's a trust that they're entrusting on the director. So that's how I look at it. I need to tell them that I understand this and this is my vision and I'm putting in as much care as they did in creating it. So that's how I look at treatments. It's easy to just give up on it because it's like, come on, right? And how many, I'm sure I share the same sentiments. There's so many times where you write what you feel is the best treatment ever and you end up losing it.
Yeah. For many different reasons.
For many different reasons.
One of which could be just cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, as far as being afraid of, losing my treatment to someone else or being copied or mimicked, it doesn't bother me. Yeah. It happens every day.
Yeah. Ideas and execution are totally different.
Yes.
Diba? I
yes.
mean, there are lyrics to songs and chords.
Yes.
But the way you play it talaga is
exactly
different. Diba? It's you're a singer, so you know the.
Basta ako, as far as me, my staff, I know my process and I was honest in putting it out. So that's me. That's enough for me. And I think the people reading the treatment naman will feel it. Will see how honest you are with it. And that's how it is. And you win some, you lose some.
So you are well known for beauty. Yeah. You have a thing also for telling stories. Are there other stuff within the realm of advertising? Kinds of boards that you actually want to...
Yes. I'm going to say yes quickly without batting an eyelash.
And what are these? So,
my God.
If there was a genie producer...
If there was a genie producer, I would love to do just these large-scale emotive thematics. That would... an opportunity to just go epic. In my cinematography, in my effect, in emotions, to work with actors that I'm looking back at the Franco Marinelli days, the Trevor Owen days, and those are the spots that I want to create. Like I want to be part of something, of an advertising material that is actually not just effective in selling a brand or an equity, but is important. It makes a mark. Yeah. So and years from later, if my kids go into advertise or into the industry and then they're gonna say, Dad, you did that spot. That's what I wanna I wanna make those. And I don't know if I'm gonna see it because the budgets now are really, really getting leaner and the format is all online.
It's changed.
It's really changed. So I don't know if there's a need now for brands to make that kind of thematic anymore. Yeah. I remember when I was starting out, the 60-seconder was quickly becoming a myth na.
Yeah.
Nobody was buying 60-second spots. So when I did get to sneak in or sell a 60-second, I felt so good.
But actually now you have the chance to go for longer stuff.
Exactly.
2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
You have documentaries that are actually advertisements.
Right.
And stuff like that. So it's opening us
again.
Diba?
It's actually full circle. Yeah. It's just not airing on TV. But just I think my dream project would be someone to just say, go crazy. Do a Bruno Avean. Do a, just absolutely stunning imagery where I can actually use the film language that I've developed and learned over the years. That's what I want to get a certain effect.
Okay. Now the equipment for shooting film, or shooting movies, making movies, have all become democratized.
Oh yeah.
Are there any favorites within your arsenal? I mean, the favorite camera to use, or favorite editing software.
My go-to camera is because I deal with a lot of faces. As well. I mean, like beauty and I usually always put on my immediate spec is the Alexa and then Cook lenses.
Okay.
Always. That's always my immediate and sometimes the EPs don't need to ask; they know. But nga, the budgets are always changing and they're always constantly changing. So
iPhone 5 na lang.
iPhone 5. The Samsung user ako. So S6 Ed.
Samsung na lang. Yeah. Samsung na lang, dear.
Yes, Samsung na lang, dear. S6 Edge yan. Okay. So yeah, if not, I go to a Red or Red Epic. That's the second choice. If not pa rin, then I'm kind of happy with the C500 or C300. I also am not too anal about... Can I say that in this?
Yeah, sure,
that word?
Of course.
Okay, I'm not too anal about exactly the camera I use. I like tossing ideas with my cinematographer and saying, this is the image I want.
Do you have a favorite cinematographer you like working with? I'm sure you have a handful.
Yeah,
diba?
I have a handful, but usually top of my specs are si Zach Sisip, who apprenticed under Boy Y, and then Take Onishi. Those are my two go-tos, but they're also becoming very, very busy and very in demand. So I'm sure there's another cinematographer that's coming up.
Yeah, it's all well, that's the industry is always, there's always a fresh group of people who are willing to...
And that's why I'm thankful for my cinematography mentors. Because, kumbaga, whoever is executing it, I can communicate well with. It's not like I am totally oblivious to that part of the filmmaking. In fact, that's the first thing that I'm going to be very, finicky about and meticulous about. So...
Okay, so you're a teacher here at Mint School.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I would imagine, listening to this podcast, thank you very much, are also students, or people who are just really curious about filmmaking in general.
Yes.
Okay, give them top-of-mind tips from you. Yeah, okay.
Top-of-mind tips.
Wow.
Top-of-mind tips. Okay, this is something, I'm going to give them what I was told by... Some of them are even in the Directors.ph Viber group. Tito Emond,
he's stealing your...
Tito Emond, Raymond Red, and I don't know if he started this or...
Meron pang pinanggalingan.
Or may pinanggalingan yan, but there's this thing, lalo na in filmmaking, wherein wala sa pana yan, nasa Indian.
Kasi nasa sports din, ginagamit din yung yan eh.
Yeah, wala sa pana yan. I mean, it's not in the camera you use. It's not in the technology you use. It's in you, right? I think, I'm very particular about medium as the message. So for the directing class that I do here, they have to justify to me what camera they're using and why. Yeah. And if someone comes up to me and says, I'm going to shoot this on an iPhone, if it's good, then it's good. I mean, I'm not going to be saying, quality is not determined by the instrument that you use. It's by the thought that goes behind it. So that's my thing. Another advice, and I can say a lot, but this is my second and last probably, is just understand film language. Film language is a language all on its own. Don't underestimate the power of shot size, length of time, takes, lighting, the mise-en-scène. These are all basic. And these are basics that we were drilled into our heads as film students that until now we resort to.
Yeah.
And taste comes from that understanding. The understanding of mise-en-scène. And if they want to break the rules, it's important that they know it first.
Yeah. All right. And on that note, thank you very much for guesting on Directors.ph.
Thank you for having me.
Maraming salamat. And I hope people listening to this podcast learn a lot.
Yes.
And please share. Kasi, this is free resource for everyone.
Yes.
Share it with your friends. Post it on Facebook. Post a link on Facebook. Or,
screen grabs.
Yeah.
And if you catch us at the right time, we actually forget that our Viber group is public. So
go to your Viber public chats. We're there, Directors.ph. This is Mr. Francisco.
And this is Joaquin Valdes.
And maraming salamat. Mabuhay.
Buhay.